Stop everything you are doing for a moment and imagine this. Every minute of your life that you waste is a minute that will never return. This is not an exaggeration. It is the purest reality. Today, you are about to discover that, without realizing it, you are letting precious hours slip away while chasing distractions that bring no real meaning. This is the second video in our series on the 5 great Stoics, and the focus now is Seneca, the philosopher who forces us to confront time with urgency and transform every moment into something truly valuable. If you think you have time for tomorrow, think again. Tomorrow is uncertain, and action must start now. In the next few minutes, you will encounter powerful teachings that challenge any tendency to procrastinate, showing that a conscious life is not just an ideal, but an absolute necessity. Seneca confronts us with a hard truth. Living without mindful attention is wasting your very existence. Imagine waking up tomorrow with full clarity about every decision, every habit, every relationship. What would you change? Which priorities would you choose? This video will make you realize that every choice today determines not only your future, but the kind of person you become. You will learn 5 fundamental aspects of Seneca's thought, from self-discipline and the value of time to how to confront death and cultivate meaningful relationships. These are not abstract theories. Each teaching comes with practical examples, actionable strategies, and reflections you can implement immediately in your daily routine, making your life more focused, productive, and full of purpose. Prepare to question habits that trap you, reassess priorities, and abandon beliefs that keep you locked in a life without purpose. Seneca makes it clear, time does not wait, and every wasted minute is an opportunity that never returns. The urgency he conveys is real and necessary. It is the push you needed to stop postponing important changes. And if you still think this is just ancient philosophy, wait until you see real-life examples of people who applied these principles and completely transformed their lives. From leaders and entrepreneurs to ordinary individuals, Seneca's wisdom works in the modern world to increase focus, discipline, mental clarity, and personal fulfillment. So stay with me until the end, because every insight in this video not only deepens your understanding of Seneca, but also prepares you for the next Stoic in the series, showing how each teaching connects to strengthen the mind and character in the face of life. Challenges. Like, comment, and subscribe now, because every video is a unique opportunity for transformation, and you won't want to miss a single chapter of this series. Now, let's dive into the first fundamental topic of Seneca, which reveals how self-discipline and attention to time can be the key to living fully, powerfully, and urgently, without waste, without regrets. Seneca saw time as the most precious asset a human being could possess. In his work on the shortness of life, he begins with a timeless provocation. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. This phrase, resonating across nearly 2 millennia, still echoes in modern lives marked by haste and distraction. The Roman philosopher warns that to waste time is to waste life itself. He observed people surrounded by material abundance, yet impoverished in purpose. And perhaps if he lived today, he would see crowds endlessly scrolling, accumulating hours in distractions that leave no memory. What Seneca proposes is a silent revolution, valuing time as if it were liquid gold, slipping through the hands of those who live on autopilot. For him, time is the only truly non-renewable resource, a currency that no one can return. The irony is that people protect their money with teeth and nails, but surrender their minutes without hesitation. He said, "No one thinks they are ever going to die, yet they waste life as if they have endless time." Consider the hours spent arguing over the insignificant, worrying about imagined problems, or pursuing goals that hold no real meaning. Modern society, with its avalanche of stimuli, makes time a victim. The result is a cycle of anxiety, dissatisfaction, and the constant feeling that there's never enough time. Seneca, with his practical wisdom, reminds us, the problem is not the lack of time, but the lack of direction. Practically speaking, to live stoically is to manage time as a wise person manages investments, with clarity, purpose, and moderation. For every action, ask yourself, does this bring me closer to the life I want to live, or does it take me further from it? A modern example is Cal Newport's concept of deep work, which resonates deeply with Seneca's philosophy. Working with focus and intention is a contemporary way to live fully. Reading a book attentively, being present in a conversation, walking while observing the world, all are practices of presence that transform ordinary minutes into extraordinary experiences. Living, at its core, is learning not to get lost in the noise. Seneca also linked the waste of time to ignorance of mortality. He saw life as a theater. Each person's time is limited, but the role can be played with greatness, no matter how brief the act. This metaphor invites us to focus on depth, not duration. Some live 80 years without truly knowing themselves, while others, in 20, leave a lasting legacy. Think of figures like Anne Frank, who, in so little time, left words that continue to inspire generations. Seneca's lesson is clear. Life's brevity is no problem if you know how to live with intensity and purpose. This insight is reinforced when we observe how he lived. Despite being one of Rome's most powerful men, advisor to Emperor Nero, Seneca was a champion of simplicity and discipline. He said wisdom lies not in doing more, but in doing the essential with excellence. He practiced daily reflection, at the end of each day, reviewing his actions, identifying wasted time, and planning how to live better the next day. This practice, known as examen de conscience, can be adapted today through nightly journaling, guided meditation, or just a few minutes of silence before sleep. The key is recognizing that life is too short to live unconsciously. Scientifically, this resonates with studies on temporal perception. Harvard researchers have shown that the human mind spends nearly 47% of the time wandering, absent from the present moment. This means almost half of life is mentally wasted, which is exactly what Seneca criticized centuries ago. He anticipated, in philosophical language, what we now call mindfulness, being fully present, aware, and awake to the now. Living time fully is an act of resistance against collective distraction. It is an act of freedom. And if you feel time slipping through your hands, Seneca offers a simple yet powerful piece of advice. Start now. Live deliberately. Choose your priorities. Refuse waste disguised as urgency. Invest your attention where it yields lasting rewards, in the people you love, the knowledge that elevates you, and the actions that make you proud. If this message resonates, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment. What can you do today to live your time more consciously? In the next episode, you will discover how Seneca teaches us to find serenity amid chaos, a quiet power that transforms adversity into inner balance. Seneca said that true human greatness is revealed not in calm, but in storms. It is easy to appear wise when all is well. The challenge begins when the world collapses. In On the Tranquility of the Soul, he describes serenity not as absence of pain, but as inner mastery over it. This idea is profoundly counterintuitive for the modern world, where happiness is sold as a sequence of achievements and pleasures. For Seneca, serenity arises when the mind learns to free itself from dependence on what it cannot control. Imagine someone stuck in traffic, missing an important appointment. The anger rises, the heart races. But Seneca would ask, does this depend on you? If not, the path is to accept, breathe, and preserve inner peace. Simple, yet requiring mental training, a form of emotional muscle that few develop. For the Stoic, serenity is an art born from reason. Seneca argued that much human suffering comes from confusion between what is under our control and what is not. He said that the wise person desires only what he can accomplish and calmly endures what he cannot avoid. This vision is not passivity, it is strategy. Today, it could be translated as cognitive resilience, the ability to reinterpret negative situations to preserve mental balance. Stanford University studies have shown that people who practice conscious acceptance have lower stress levels and greater emotional stability. Seneca knew this 2,000 years ago. He called this posture active serenity, the state in which the mind remains firm, even when the body or environment is in crisis. The Roman philosopher applied this in his own life. Even exiled in Corsica, far from Rome and privileges, he wrote texts of serenity and hope. He saw adversity as a laboratory for the soul, a training ground where the strength of virtue is tested. Today, we can apply this lesson when facing personal crises, job loss, the end of a relationship, illness, financial instability. Serenity, according to Seneca, is not about denying suffering, but facing it without letting it destroy your essence. A practical example? Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the wise person asks, "How can I grow from this?" This shift in perspective is the first step to transforming pain into strength. Interestingly, Seneca shows us that serenity does not mean inaction. He advocates rational action, acting when change is possible, accepting when it is not. This aligns with the modern philosophy of Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor, who stated, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response." Centuries before, Seneca lived by this principle. He believed that he who controls his reactions is invincible, and you can apply this in any situation. Before reacting, breathe, observe, and choose the response that strengthens you rather than destroys you. Seneca also saw nature as a mirror for the mind. Just as the sea may be turbulent on the surface but calm in its depths, humans need to cultivate a peace that is independent of external circumstances. In letters to Lucilius, he wrote, "There is no favorable wind for the sailor who doesn't know where he is going." This phrase symbolizes Stoic balance. Serenity does not come from luck, it comes from purpose. A sailor does not blame the wind, he adjusts the sails. Likewise, the wise person adjusts the mind, learning to turn the inevitable into opportunity. This is serenity in action. In today's world, dominated by urgency and comparison, Seneca would be a voice of calm. He would say that peace is not about doing less, but about doing consciously, that no victory is greater than maintaining a tranquil soul amid chaos. A simple exercise he would recommend is premeditatio malorum, imagining challenges before they happen. This is not pessimism, it is preparation. By mentally anticipating what could go wrong, you strengthen your mind for when the unexpected arrives. It is like an athlete training before competition. When the challenge comes, you are already emotionally ready. And if you feel life's difficulties have stolen your peace, take a deep breath. Remember Seneca's words. No tree grows strong without contrary winds. Every obstacle can become fertile ground for growth. So if this content resonates, like this video, share it, and comment below. What have you learned from your own storms? Get ready, because in the next episode we will dive into one of Seneca's deepest and most challenging teachings, mastery over emotions and anger, where you will discover how to transform destructive impulses into creative force. Seneca believed that a man's true power did not lie in physical strength or in commanding armies, but in his ability to master his own emotions. On anger, he describes anger as a form of temporary madness, a force that, if uncontrolled, can drag even the wisest man to ruin. Imagine this in modern terms. How many times has someone made an impulsive decision out of anger, then spent weeks trying to fix the damage? On the road, at home, at work. Anger is an emotional wildfire that begins with a spark and ends consuming everything in its path. For Seneca, true freedom is interior, and he who masters himself is more powerful than any emperor. He teaches that the first step in controlling emotions is conscious observation. Before your heart races and your voice rises, you must notice the moment anger begins to arise. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the rational anticipation of evils. In other words, preparing the mind to handle adversities before they happen. Modern psychology calls this anticipatory emotional regulation, a concept studied by researchers like James Gross at Stanford University. He showed that people who recognize and name their emotions before they explode are more resilient and make wiser decisions. It is as if the Stoic mind, cultivated 2,000 years ago, already anticipated what science would later confirm. Seneca advised that when anger arises, silence should be the first response. This is an exercise in inner strength, not weakness. When someone insults you, the ordinary mind wants to react. The trained mind observes. It is like standing before a mirror, reflecting your own shadow. The more you fight it, the larger it grows. Stoic philosophy teaches that it is not the insult that harms, but the value we give it. Imagine applying this to today's digital world. offensive comments on social media, gratuitous attacks, unjust criticism. How often do we respond with the same venom, not realizing we are only feeding our own anger? Seneca would say, "The wise man ignores the fool, for silence is the echo of wisdom." A practical exercise inspired by Seneca is the pause of mastery. Before reacting, take a deep breath and count to 10, but not mechanically. During these seconds, visualize what an impulsive response will bring: more conflict or more peace. This simple pause can save relationships, prevent job losses, and preserve mental health. Neuroscience confirms that deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, calming the body and reducing cortisol, the stress hormone. It is almost as if ancient wisdom has found direct resonance in modern neuroscience. Another essential point is that mastering emotions does not mean repressing them, but understanding them. Seneca did not teach cold indifference, but conscious self-control. He said that feeling anger is natural, but yielding to it is a choice. Anger is like fire. It can warm or destroy, depending on how you use it. If properly channeled, emotional energy can be transformed into focus, creativity, and courage. How many great leaders and artists have turned their pain into masterpieces? Nelson Mandela, upon leaving prison, chose reconciliation over revenge, a living example of applied stoicism. A fascinating detail: Seneca, living at the epicenter of Roman power, was advisor to Emperor Nero, one of history's most unstable rulers. Imagine the challenge of maintaining serenity before such a tyrant. His life was a practical lesson in emotional mastery. When Nero falsely accused him and ordered his death, Seneca received the news calmly, took his bath, and reflected on the soul's tranquility in the face of fate. This is the pinnacle of Stoic philosophy, not being shaken, even in the face of ultimate injustice. Now, look at your own life. How often are your emotions driving you instead of the other way around? How many decisions were made in the heat of the moment, only to leave you regretful later? Seneca's Stoicism challenges us to reverse this logic, to be the commander of the mind, not its passenger. So, if this content inspires reflection, like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel. This Stoic journey still has much to reveal, and in the next episode we will dive into the heart of Epictetus's philosophy, the slave who became a master of emperors. He will take the idea of inner freedom to a level that Seneca only began to explore. Few concepts were as revolutionary in Seneca's thought as inner freedom. For him, true freedom did not depend on broken chains or torn down walls, but on the ability to choose how to react to what cannot be controlled. This is the essence of Stoic power: mastery over one's own mind. Seneca observed that free men in Rome were often prisoners of their desires, while slaves could be freer than their masters if they possessed the serenity to accept fate. This may sound paradoxical, but it is timeless wisdom. Today, many live trapped in invisible chains: the need for approval, anxiety about results, fear of failure. Stoic philosophy is the antidote to this emotional slavery. The power of choice is where philosophy and psychology meet. Modern science, especially Viktor Frankl's studies, psychiatrist and concentration camp survivor, confirms the Stoic principle. In Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl writes, "Everything can be taken from a man, except one thing: the freedom to choose his attitude in any given set of circumstances." This is the living translation of Seneca's thought. Even in extreme captivity, Frankl found freedom in his mind, a state the Stoics would call ataraxia, unshakable calm. When the world seems to collapse, it is this inner choice that separates despair from dignity. But what does it mean in practice to live with this inner freedom? It means understanding that you cannot control the wind, but you can adjust the sails. It means accepting that life will not always be fair, but there is always a choice: react with despair or act with wisdom. For example, when something goes wrong at work, instead of complaining or seeking blame, the Stoic mindset asks, "What depends on me now?" This simple question shifts the axis of suffering. It is a bridge between chaos and balance. Psychologists call this an internal locus of control, the belief that our actions shape our reality. Seneca argued that the wise man is the one who lives according to reason, not impulses. This lesson resonates even today, especially in a world full of constant distractions. He said that those who live guided by passions are like a ship adrift, at the mercy of the tides of chance. Meanwhile, those who learn to choose their thoughts also choose their destiny. And this choice is daily, silent, almost invisible. It is choosing not to be overwhelmed by the unexpected, choosing to remain calm when everything around collapses. It is choosing your own mental state, a form of sovereignty that no one can steal. Inner freedom is also the path to emotional peace. When we understand that not everything is under our control, tranquility is born. It is like letting go of a weight carried for years and realizing that the ground beneath our feet is still solid. The Stoics use the term amor fati, love of fate, to describe this active acceptance. It is not resignation, it is empowerment. It is looking at misfortune and saying, if this happened, it is because it has something to teach me. A modern example of this mindset is Stephen Hawking, who, despite being limited by a degenerative disease, lived fully, teaching the world that the mind is freer than the body. Seneca also warned about the dangers of self-sabotage. He said that a man who complains about circumstances forgets that the universe is neutral. The human mind colors events as good or bad. This aligns with what neuroscientist Andrew Huberman of Stanford University explains when studying how the brain interprets stimuli. Our emotional reactions are shaped by our internal narrative. When you change the meaning you give to an event, you literally reprogram your brain. And Seneca knew this centuries ago when he said, "It is not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to what happens." Now think about this. What holds you back today? Is it something external or internal? How many times have you blamed the world for something you could perhaps change within yourself? Stoicism does not invite guilt, but responsibility. And responsibility is power. If you have understood the strength of this teaching, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with someone who needs to be reminded of the power they hold over their own life. In the next chapter of this series, we will dive even deeper with Epictetus, the slave who defied the limits of the body and showed the world that no one is enslaved when they master the mind. Seneca viewed time as the human being's most valuable resource, more precious than gold or power. In On the Shortness of Life, he writes directly and provocatively, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." This statement remains as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago, in a society where digital distractions, meaningless tasks, and trivial worries consume hours without return. Imagine that each minute is a coin you will never recover. Unfortunately, most people spend these coins without considering their true value. Seneca warns that awareness of time transforms the way we live. Every wasted moment is a lost opportunity for growth. Every minute spent on triviality is a slice of life that will never return. He insists that death should not be faced with fear, but with respect and reflection. For Seneca, contemplating the finitude of life teaches us to prioritize what truly matters and eliminate what is trivial. Death, therefore, is a catalyst for wisdom. It forces us to evaluate the present mindfully and decide how we want to spend our limited time. Modern positive psychology research confirms that reflecting on mortality, a practice called memento mori, increases focus on meaningful goals, enhances emotional resilience, and reduces procrastination. Imagine starting each day remembering your time is finite. Trivial decisions become less important while relationships, learning, and enriching experiences gain priority. Seneca criticizes the illusion that we will always have more time to live according to our desires. He observes that many spend their lives chasing wealth, status, and fleeting pleasures, believing that someday they will have time to truly enjoy life. But the truth is, the future is not guaranteed. How many spend decades postponing dreams or neglecting important people, only to realize that time has simply run out? This warning resonates today when we see people sacrificing health, relationships, and well-being under the illusion that they can enjoy it later or buy time in the future. Seneca reminds us that life must be lived attentively now, not later. Applying Seneca's teaching in practice means consciously choosing how to spend each moment. It means eliminating distractions that drain energy, such as meaningless worries or purposeless tasks, and investing in experiences that bring meaning. Small habits, like keeping a journal, planning daily priorities, or reserving time for reflection and learning, make life richer and more intentional. Seneca teaches that the quality of life is not measured by the number of days, but by the value of each day. Every minute lived with purpose creates a legacy, while wasted time disappears without leaving a trace. Death, for him, is also an instrument of freedom. By accepting its inevitability, we free ourselves from anxiety and fear that consume energy and cloud decisions. Understanding finitude helps us live with more intensity and presence, transforming simple experiences into moments of fullness. This connects with modern mindfulness research, which shows that being fully present increases life satisfaction, reduces stress, and strengthens empathy. Accepting death, therefore, is not resignation. It is power over your own time, the conquest of inner freedom. Seneca complements this vision with the daily practice of contemplating death and time. He recommends reviewing one's life, reflecting on each action and choice, and evaluating whether they contribute to a fulfilling existence or are mere distractions. This discipline, known as daily examination, is a Stoic method for living attentively, reducing regret, and increasing clarity of purpose. Incorporating this practice today, through nightly journaling, meditation, or quiet moments, transforms each day into an opportunity for growth and meaning, aligning our actions with what we truly value. Seneca leaves us with a profound call to action. View your time as a precious, irreversible resource. Each choice today shapes the life experience you will have, and every wasted moment is a lost opportunity. Ask yourself, am I living mindfully or just passing through the days? Am I investing my time in things that truly matter? Stoic philosophy challenges us to answer consciously, act with purpose, and turn every instant into a legacy. If this teaching has touched you, like the video, comment on which habit you will change today to value your time, share with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel. And get ready, because the next chapter of our series will take us to Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, who applied these lessons on time, virtue, and self-control in power and daily life, proving that Stoic wisdom is practical, even in the most demanding and complex circumstances. Before we move forward, let's reflect briefly on the journey we are building together. In the first video, we explored Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, learning that virtue is the only true good, and that living in accordance with reason and nature is the path to true freedom. He showed us that understanding and aligning our lives with these principles is essential to avoid being swept away by external circumstances. In today's video, with Seneca, we delved into the importance of valuing every moment, cultivating virtue, and applying philosophy in daily life. We learned how self-discipline, emotional control, reflection on death, and the urgency of time can transform how we act, think, and prioritize what truly matters. We brought practical examples so that you not only understand the concepts, but can incorporate them into your daily life, making every moment more meaningful and conscious. I want to ask you, are you applying these principles? Are you adjusting your choices, focusing on what truly matters, and reflecting on each action? As a guide, my concern is that you internalize these teachings, because the true value of Stoic philosophy lies in daily practice, not theory alone. Every habit you build today is a concrete step toward a more balanced, wise, and powerful life. And here comes the most important point. We cannot stop here. In the next video of the series, we will dive into Epictetus, another great Stoic who will teach us to differentiate what is under our control from what is not, developing serenity in the face of adversity, and applying Stoic principles practically in every daily decision. Everything you have learned from Zeno and Seneca will be expanded, forming a solid foundation of wisdom that connects theory and practice. If you are committed to personal transformation, do it now. Like this video, share your reflections in the comments, and subscribe to the channel, ensuring you won't miss the next chapter of this series, which will deepen your ability to face life's challenges in a Stoic and conscious way. Remember, are you already putting Zeno and Seneca's teachings into practice? Are you valuing your time, cultivating virtue, and controlling your emotions every day? Reflect, practice, and get ready, Because in the next video with Epictetus, we will discover how inner discipline and understanding what truly depends on us can transform your mind and your life in extraordinary ways. Strength in the mind, peace in the heart.